I have not picked an Atlanta game since the Brady Super Bowl. It is my...
You've picked them, just...
I can't get Atlanta right,
Yeah.
ever. By the way, when I went on Twitter the other day and said that, I'm like, I can't figure out. They're my Bermuda Triangle. My money disappears. You cannot believe how many people told me. They're my Bermuda Triangle. Like, everybody on Twitter was like, instead of ripping me, they're like, yeah, that's the team I can't. Nobody can bet Atlanta.
They're just a very unpredictable team.
Totally unpredictable. So last week, who thought they were going to beat the Raiders by 30?
And think of all the massive leads they've blown, too. They're just a very strange team.
Strange. Greg Jennings, 10 NFL seasons, played a couple of years with Brett Favre, 5 with Aaron Rodgers. He is now joining us live. By the way, Greg called the Niners-Rams game, and he's calling the Rams-Cardinals games. I'll start with the Rams, by the way. So, you watch this team, and there are games against Tampa, and I'm like, this is as good as anybody in the league, not named the Chiefs. And then you watch them against the Niners, and is it Kyle Shanahan having Sean McVay number? Is it Goff can't play under pressure? When you watch that and you watch them unravel with the Rams as a former NFL player, why are the Rams so maddeningly inconsistent on offense?
Well, I think it's a culmination of both. But I think it had a lot to do with Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh and their scheme. Schematically, defensively, the 49ers, they were all over the Rams offensively. They have a tremendous amount of team speed, which you just can't account for. When you look at what the Rams try to do, what they do well, running that outside zone, establishing their run to open up their passing game, to establish that, you have to get those outside zone and those outside runs going. They did not do that against this fast flow 49ers defense. And Fred Warner, with a large part, Greenlaw, like, they have so many guys that can step up and can impose their will on a game defensively for the 49ers that it just really ruffled what they wanted to do schematically from the Rams offense perspective. And then I think, too, Jared Goff is a quarterback that has to play in rhythm.
Yeah.
You get him going early. You get him connecting with his guys, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupps. The running game is going for them. He feels comfortable. He settles in a lot smoother. He's not a quarterback that is going to make plays on off-scripted opportunities. That's not his MO. And I think that's where the Rams struggle when the game doesn't go their way and they don't have that so-called first 15 running as smoothly as they would like to see.
So this is the second year for Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers. And I said this earlier to Greg Cosell. I can watch Aaron's body language. I think there's only been one time this year against Tampa that he looked distraught or uncomfortable. He looks more comfortable. So what they run, you've been around Green Bay and Aaron. That's what I see. Why is he seemingly so much more comfortable in year 2? What are they doing for him?
Well, a couple of things. He is his second year in the system, but more importantly, they've done what any quarterback and head coach should do when you have a talent like Aaron Rodgers, is you've implemented what works best for him, what he wants to have and produce within this offense and plays that he would like to see run. And then collaboratively, you have what you want to do as an offensive coordinator. And Matt LaFleur has been completely open with that. And he said even last year, that was not the case. It was more, it was my offense. But I noticed I had to allow him to be who he's always been. That's what makes quarterbacks, that's what makes any player in this league special, is if they're allowed to be themselves and allow that to translate to the football field. And that's what we're seeing in Green Bay, a culmination of Aaron being able to get his boots, his keeps, moving the pocket, allowing him to run a portion of what he does so very well. But he also knows what the implementation of what Matt LaFleur has brought to the table, it works, and he has bought in 100%.
So Seattle, Seattle did something this year so far that I don't think happens a lot, but I think good coaches and good teams can do it. They had a huge weakness, pass rush, and they solved it. They gave up a lot of picks, but they got Jamal Adams. And he plays kind of linebacker. They went and got Carlos Dunlap midseason, and some of their young players, L.J. Collier from TCU, have been coached up. And suddenly it went from a weakness to they've had more sacks than any team in the league in the last month by 5. And I want you to go back to your career, and because I don't think it happens a lot where you find a flaw and it becomes a strength. Did you ever plan a team in Green Bay that you thought, man, this is an issue in camp, and then by Thanksgiving you're like, oh, this is actually one of our strengths?
Well, I don't know if we had such a glaring issue that we were able to bandage the way that the Seattle Seahawks have. We kind of did it in the draft. Pass rushing was kind of one of our flaws. We were not able to get pressure on the quarterback, opposing teams' quarterbacks. And then you draft a guy like Clay Matthews and everything changes.
Right.
It just opens up. And what it does, Colin, is for like a guy like Carlos Dunlap, it just opens things up. Once you have a pass rusher and you have a guy that can apply pressure, it's not so much about getting sacks. It's about creating space for one-on-one matchups so that offensive linemen can't double your best player and then you're eliminated with any form of pass rush. They can't do that now. You can bring guys off the edge. Carlos Dunlap, he's going to absorb so much attention, and he allows created space now for the other guys within that defensive line and then that front seven. That's why they have changed the game when it comes to pass rushing. And it's not so much sacks. It is about applying pressure, putting the quarterback under pressure to get rid of the ball quicker than what they would want.
So when you look at Brady's numbers, they're not terrible. 28 TDs, 11 picks, 95 passer rating, 64% completion percentage. They're not terrible. He's been inconsistent. And frankly, Arians and him have never worked together. So like some of it's a pass. When you watch Brady, are we being too critical? Has he actually been pretty solid? What do your eyes tell you, Greg?
My eyes tell me that he's been up and down. He has not been great. He's not been terrible. But when he's been bad, it has been bad, and he looks uncomfortable when it is going bad. And he doesn't look as though he can settle himself because of what they're doing schematically offensively. They don't allow him to just get rid of the ball in the timing that he wants because they want to push the ball down the field. That is not a strength of Tom Brady's. We've all said it. We see it. But I think more than anything, when you have a running game that they have, and you really don't rely on it as much, as heavily as you should. And then pass catching out of the backfield for his running backs. He hasn't had that. And that's something that he's been accustomed to. And so with all those variables in one pot, it is going to be hard for Tom Brady in year one. Remember, this is year one, to really be comfortable within an offense that he doesn't. This isn't like Aaron Rodgers and LaFleur in now year two. But in year one, there were some struggles. There were some tug of war, if you will. And that's what we're seeing in Tampa. Yes, Tom Brady's going to always say all things correctly and politically correctly and say, I have to be better. And yes, our relationship, Bruce Arians and we're great. But there are some things that I think we will see changed after this bye week.
So it's funny. Arians has been critical of Brady. Mike Tomlin yesterday just ripped his team to shreds. And it's just, I've never had a problem with that. I had coaches that were highly critical and a lot of volume, and it's like, yeah, it's fine. It doesn't work for everybody. And I just, as an aside, did you ever have a yeller or a screamer? Or did you ever have a coach that would call you out like publicly and rip you?
No.
You didn't?
No, I've never been on a team that had a coach that would just publicly. Really, it's not even the team. He goes at individuals. And that's my only issue with Bruce Arians and the way he approaches it is he singles out players. And once you start singling out players, now what you're setting yourself up to do is every time a player has a bad game, are you going to call him out? Are you going to call everyone out? Is this going to be the trend that you've set? And so when you look at Mike Tomlin, he's fighting two evils, if you will. He has an 11-0 team. He knows they're really good. They played bad. He doesn't want them to drop a game that they can easily win. And that's what we saw yesterday, a game that they should win, and they didn't perform well. He's looking down the road. If we play like this, we will not beat the Kansas Cities. We will not beat the Tennessee Titans in the playoffs. We will not beat some of these teams that we know will give us fits in the playoffs and accomplish our ultimate goal. That's what Mike Tomlin is doing. He's getting ahead of his team having a lull. He does not want that.
Greg Jennings doing